You're listening to the Mind Takeaway podcast with your hosts Mira and Peter.
In our quest to help create a world without inequality, poverty and war, we share insights gained through our work about leadership, psychology and creativity.
You will also hear conversations with ordinary people who do extraordinary things due to their increased awareness, curiosity and intuition, plus their deep connection with others.
Okay, welcome to another micro episode of the Mind Takeaway podcast. It's unusually hot for October. It's like, 24 degrees, Mira?
Yeah, it's really like, it was really surprising coming out and feeling the warmth on your skin.
Yeah, so we're making the most of the heat. So today we wanted to share our first in a series of what gets in the way. And today we're going to talk about collaboration.
Mm-hmm. What gets in the way of people collaborating?
Yeah, so in our experience of working in operations ourselves as leaders, but also with, over the years with clients.
And with each other.
Yeah. With both small, medium and large operations. It's always the same thing that appears. So what we wanted to talk about today is how, at least this is how we see it, humans by default are already collaborative creatures. They're already creative. That's as far as what we can see from our experience.
Yeah, everything that we created in society was created together with other people. Nobody did anything on their own.
Yeah. People create both good and bad things. I don't want to go so black and white, there's everything in between, but for all of the amazing things that are creative, like music and the arts, there's also people, I won't name them, but, dictators are creative, for example. And certain people can collaborate, but also do destructive things.
Yeah.
But we want to concentrate on the more positive things. So going back to, if we frame this conversation around how operations work, and what we mean by an operation is where a company, be it small, medium or large, has a number of people in teams, and these teams usually have team leaders. There's some other managers and an operational manager, and we'll keep it that simple for now. And what we notice is that when people stop collaborating, when they suddenly struggle in the operation to work together, to be creative, to innovate, in this episode we'll explore some of the things that we notice gets in the way. And maybe you can start, Mira, with fear.
Yeah. One of the first things that shows up is fear, and fear is, is it high stress? Is it miscommunication? Is it misunderstanding? It boils down, it comes down to fear. People close down. People get very, I could probably use a word, selfish. They stop sharing, they stop asking, they stop doing things together with other people because fear makes you close down. And so, is it the fear of saying something wrong? Is it the fear of not being good enough? Is it the fear of somebody using your idea? Is it the fear of the unknown? So that's one of the biggest things that gets in the way.
And what we notice is when people are in fear, for whatever reason, it just doesn't make sense to share that with the team, with the peers, with other managers. And then communication starts to break down. And where you've got an operational manager that's operating in fear, that does actually trickle down. And that's what we notice, is that fear being a powerful feeling, whether it be from thoughts or feelings, it's the same thing really. We notice that when key people in the organization start to shut down or they go inward because, as Mira pointed to, when we're in fear, it doesn't make sense to share that we're in fear or what we're struggling with or how we're feeling to the people around us, to our colleagues. And we start to go into this dog-eat-dog mode where we're pretty much into survival mode. We just get through the day. We're almost just existing and surviving and hiding away. And in extreme cases, we've seen people, literally hiding away from taking action, hiding away from communicating in meetings. And in some extremes, which is a sad reality, if they don't get support, hiding away by taking sick leave. And that really does damage the operation, because then people start to second guess each other. Why is this person missing for the operation? What's going on? And then it starts to drive more fear, and it has, sadly, a domino effect.
And so it's really interesting. It can be, now, it's very normal to have moments when we collaborate amazingly, and there's moments when we collaborate really poorly, and it happens with the best of us. I mean, it's the important thing is to notice it, to be aware of it, to be like, Peter and I could be working on something, and one of us gets fearful, gets insecure for whatever reason, thinking about the future, how will this affect whatever our life, and then without awareness, it starts poor communication, and then it starts arguments. And then the moment you notice what's going on, you can step back. If you don't notice what's going on, you can get further and further and further until it gets so bad that you kind of stop working together, or you stop communicating at all, especially in bigger teams. Then people get they get on the side, and they're not part of it. They don't feel like they're part of it anymore.
Yeah, they sit on the sidelines. Another example of what gets in the way is people feeling like they're not enough, comparing themselves to others. We hear conversations quite often in operations between managers saying, you're more popular than me. I think our boss likes you more than I do. More than they do me. Stuff like this. And when that gets in the way, what happens is it's it can be linked to fear, but it's also a lack of clarity. And again, that can lead to not getting involved, not wanting to share how you feel, and also being productive. Because what happens is that when you think that you're not enough, it doesn't make sense for you to collaborate and share your thoughts and be creative and look for solutions. Everything looks like a problem. And the challenge with that is, again, it trickles top down. If you're not being, solutions orientated, which you can't be if you think that you're not enough, then sadly you will start to instill those kind of behaviors into your team as well.
And that is especially difficult when you need department to department communication and collaboration, where people don't spend that much time together. The other thing is differences between people. So the other thing that gets in the way is that people are different, and which is amazing. That should be amazing in order to create beautiful things and to find solutions to problems that you haven't experienced before and all of that. But by misunderstanding, people think that that's a problem. And understanding different realities of the people, checking in, communicating clearly is what helps with those differences.
Yeah, so intercultural differences are by default, they will always exist in any company. But what we're pointing to is that they should be embraced, because everyone is different. Even if you're from the same village, same town, same city, same country, we're all uniquely our own person, our own unique human. And when you start to embrace each other's unique differences, regardless of where they've come from, the cultural heritage, all of that, that's when it gets easier to collaborate. So we've mentioned some of the things that get in the way. So what are the solutions?
Get to know each other. Get to know each other on a personal level is one of the things.
Yeah, so pointing to intercultural awareness, exactly. It's to get curious about what makes this person tick, how are they different from me, but embracing those differences because it's okay to be different. And quite often, innocently or not, we see organizations and operations trying to cookie cutter some version of their culture, which means that everyone has to fit into this neat mold of whatever it means to be working in collaboration in that company. And the reality is that really doesn't work, because once we embrace all our differences and get to know each other on a really granular level, that's when we can really work together and collaborate and get creative, because everyone is throwing their unique take on things into this rich melting pot that is a high-performing team. And if we point back to fear, I know this might not look or make sense in the moment, because me included, if I'm in a high state of fear, it doesn't always make sense because I'm not seeing clearly to say to Mira, hey, I'm suffering, I don't feel good today, I don't know what's going on. I'll hide away, I'll act erratically, I might annoy Mira, or we might get into an argument, which is, the content of the argument, just to be clear, has nothing to do with anything. It just means that I'm feeling uncomfortable, and until one of us notices that, it's going to get in the way. So what we're saying is, in terms of an operation, if you're in a team, if you're a team leader, if you're an operational manager, the best thing you can do, if you want to help everyone, including your team and yourself, more importantly, is to first accept the fact that you're feeling uncomfortable, you have feelings, you're feeling, feelings of anxiety, you're in a state of fear.
Or you feel like an imposter in that moment, or whatever it is, yeah.
And once you've acknowledged that, it really does get easier. And then once you've acknowledged that you feel uncomfortable for whatever reason, you don't even need to know the reason for it. You can then reflect, take a step back, and just get curious about, okay, why am I feeling uncomfortable? And then the best gift you can give yourself is to share those thoughts and feelings with a colleague. Someone, we would suggest someone that you may feel more comfortable with, someone that you trust. And then slowly but surely, suddenly, it is a problem solved as a problem shared. I know it's one of these cheesy quotes that, I've heard for since I was little, but it really does ring true, because once you get those thoughts and feelings out your head, trust me, it gets so much easier. It may not be a silver bullet where your feelings, those fearful feelings, completely go away. But it's just to share how you feel with a colleague, with someone that you trust. And I even used to do that with my team. But just to be clear, I'll take you through step by step. I wouldn't just be erratically in fear and being all sketchy and have a meeting not really clear on what I'm going to say and say I'm freaking out to my team, because that's not going to help the operation at all. What I mean is I'd already reflected on what was getting in the way, and I would share with my team that I've had a challenging week. I didn't get certain things done, and that wasn't my intention. Let's work together. This is what I would suggest we can do. How do you feel about it? It's coming from a place of clarity when I've actually reflected on it, and I'm obviously feeling much better than I was when I first started to have those fearful thoughts. And if you can do that, then things will get much easier, because what happens is that when we're feeling uncomfortable, we quite often tend not to communicate that with the outside world. And that's when we can do damage to the operation, to our team, because I don't know about you, but if I'm not sure what's going on, and when I think back when I was in the team, when people stopped communicating, we all start to second guess each other. Why is the boss disappeared? What are they thinking about? Okay, maybe something's gone wrong. I feel uncomfortable now. It can spiral for being such a simple thing where you're just having a bad day into something much bigger. And then the challenge is you'll have more issues later on, course correcting that behavior and then over explaining what happened, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's much simpler than it looks like in that moment. But the key is communication. The key is communicating and listening. And so basically building relationships where we feel comfortable, being in a place that feels safe to express yourself. But how do we create that space is actually going there first, is actually being comfortable enough to share some of the uncomfortable things, to feel uncomfortable things and reflect on them and understand that we're all humans and understand what's getting in the way, because once we know how things work, it's much easier to change them.
Yeah, and it really is the secret sauce to collaboration is, as Mira said, it's communication. It's being in communication. It's sharing. If you want to have a safe environment, as Mira said, and build trust and for people to feel psychologically safe, then exactly that. We all have to go there first, acknowledge how we're feeling and just see it for what it is, that it's getting in the way. It's not really you need to problem solve why those feelings happen in the first place. If you can reframe it as being, yeah, they are challenging, you'll have a physical and mental response to fear and anxiety, but there's a wonderful gift there because there's information in those feelings. And when you can see the information for what it is, okay, I've had some challenges, I lost my way a bit, let's put ourselves back on track, let's work together. Things get so much more easier to, go forward and work together.
Yeah, and challenges will always be there. It's our understanding of it and understanding of ourselves. So thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you. As always, we're curious to know how you feel about this and what you're thinking. If you've got any questions or you just want to reflect on the episode, feel free to reach out to us.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. You made it to the end of this episode. Thank you for listening. Are you looking for one-to-one coaching? Do you want to develop your leadership skills? Would you like to improve your team's performance? Drop us an email at info@themindtakeaway.com. We would love to hear from you.